I never expected that my wife and my brother would disappear for 23 years. The police suddenly called me to go to the station to pick up my wife. I thought it was a scam call related to organ harvesting in northern Myanmar. After confirming several times that it was real, I went to the police station to pick up someone. Hello, police officer. I'm looking for Jiang Qinshi. You called me here just now. Jiang Qinshi. The young officer remembers this is the only passenger who found the family. Lifted their head and looked at me. She tilted her head toward the door. Isn't she right behind you? I clenched my hands tightly. I took a deep breath and slowly turned around. My gaze fell heavily toward the door. And Jiang Qinshi finally saw me. In Jiang Qinshi's understanding, the person in front of her was her husband. Just a week ago, we were still in love. But now, standing right in front of her, I was so unfamiliar that it made her hesitant to come close. In the nearly 2 hours I just waited. It felt like almost 2 hours. She had rehearsed many scenarios in her mind for my arrival. For example, she would rush into my arms. She would pour out all her fears and grievances. Or she might stomp her feet and pretend to ignore me. She would complain about why I was so slow. She had thought about it too. After 23 years, seeing each other again might be a bit awkward. But I didn't expect it to be this awkward. Jiang Qian. I didn't expect to be the one to greet her first. Jiang Qinshi's name and surname. Even with a hint of uncertainty, Jiang Qinshi responded softly. She awkwardly shifted her gaze away from mine. Hesitantly, she raised her hand. She gave me a wave. Gu Qi. I looked at her. She seemed extremely calm. The air felt as if it were frozen. The atmosphere was somewhat awkward. Fortunately, the police officer nearby timely broke this somewhat suffocating, strange atmosphere. The young police officer who had just finished taking the statement came over to me with several forms and said, "You are Gu Qi, right? What is your relationship with Jiang Qinshi?" The officer asked. "Before she went missing, we are husband and wife." Jiang Qinshi heard my answer and looked at me with some surprise, because she was surprised by the word married slipping out of my mouth, and by my deliberate emphasis on before she went missing. The officer glanced at both of us and said to me calmly, "Come with me to sign something. You can take her home now." Okay, I thought, suppressing countless questions in my mind regarding the 23 years she had disappeared. Before I rushed over, the officer had already told me and checked today's news to confirm that this was indeed true, but I still found it hard to believe. If I hadn't seen her with my own eyes, witnessing her unchanging visage, I truly would have found it unbelievable. I politely said to Jiang Qinshi, "Please wait a moment." Jiang Qinshi nodded. Then I took a few steps forward with the police officer. Suddenly, I thought of something. Feeling uneasy, I turned back and said to Jiang Qinshi, "Don't run around." I filled out the form as instructed by the officer. The officer added that this is a temporary ID card. Please keep it safe. The original ID and other important documents. We will notify you to come back in a few days. There's nothing else. You can go back first. Alright, thank you. I put away Jiang Qinshi's temporary ID card carefully. I walked to her side. I picked up her suitcase. "Let's go." Jiang Qinshi walked beside me. I reached out to pull her suitcase, but I felt a bit shy about being too forward. I don't know why. Something that used to feel natural to her. How could it suddenly feel awkward to bother me? The two of us walked to the door, one after the other. There was no exchange along the way. I suddenly stopped at the door. I took out my phone and sent a voice message to the driver. I turned to Jiang Qinshi and said, "Just a moment. I couldn't find a parking space when I came. I had the driver drive around nearby. It should arrive soon." "Okay." Jiang Qinshi glanced at me curiously. She muttered to herself, "It seems he's doing well. He's even got a driver now. Back then when I went out with him, we either walked or took the subway. He wouldn't even buy an electric bike to save money for a house." I kept holding up my phone. Like a walkie-talkie, I spoke some medical jargon into the phone, looking quite busy. Jiang Qinshi couldn't understand it, nor could she grasp it. She felt even more isolated. She looked up at the unfamiliar street. This city nowadays. It wasn't just her that felt strange about it. She turned back to look at the deep corridor behind her, remembering the meeting room, the few passengers who shared the same unfortunate fate as her. Right before leaving, they all looked at her with envy. No matter what, she is lucky. At least she has someone to help her. In this completely unfamiliar city, there is someone who can take her in. In her contemplation, a black sedan stopped in front of them. Jiang Qinshi didn't recognize what kind of car it was. She only felt that the emblem on the car was a capital B with wings. It resembled a kind angel, as if I, an angel, was taking an angelic ride, coming to rescue her, who had been lost for years. "Excuse me, Professor Gu has kept you waiting." "It doesn't matter." I politely opened the car door for Jiang Qinshi. Jiang Qinshi was taken aback. The me in front of her was in a suit, opening the car door for her. The movement was elegant and gentlemanly. calm and composed. A particular kind of maturity. That belongs to the grace and charm of mature men. Especially compared to this young man, who is also in a suit. Who appears quite youthful in comparison. It highlights my character even more. Of course, the current me is completely different from the intelligent and handsome boy she remembers. It's like I'm two different people. She even recalls when I went for interviews right after graduation. The suit I wore was borrowed from a senior. That senior was about my height. Yet it's more about me. The clothes fitted me a bit loosely. It was her who stayed up all night with needle and thread to sew 2 skirts inside for me. Only a talented person could wear them well. Back then, I smiled broadly as I held her face and kissed her several times, complimenting her for being clever and skillful. Jiang Qinshi took a secret glance today at me, who wore the suit so elegantly and naturally, and quietly bit her lip, thinking to herself, how things have truly changed. After a while, I also got in. The car door closed. I closed space. The awkward and distant atmosphere reached its peak. She lightly rubbed her hands on her thighs. I lowered my gaze and noticed her unease. Although so many years have passed, I can still easily see through her little habits. I thought of Jiang Qinshi. Every time during exams in school, when performing on stage, and even during interviews, she would act like this. It was an unconscious fidget. I used to think this gesture of hers was particularly cute. I always couldn't help but pull her hand to my lips for a kiss. For a moment, I felt a bit lost in thought. I didn't expect to remember some small details from over 20 years ago. I surprisingly could still recall them. Professor Gu, are we going back to the conference center? The driver asked from the front. No need. Let's go to my old house. I thought for a moment and said. But there are still many experts and leaders at the venue, waiting for you to give a presentation. The driver reminded. It's fine, Xiao Chen is here. I just need to call and let him know. Jiang Qinshi pursed her lips and looked at me. She wondered if she was delaying my work. She wanted to tell me that she was fine, but hadn't had the chance to say it yet. Then she saw me making another phone call. Sorry, I won't be able to make it. I have a personal matter to attend to right now. I'll send you the materials. Just report back. I will definitely attend tomorrow's press conference. Don't worry. As soon as I finished speaking, I hung up the phone. I started sending emails using the laptop in the car. Jiang Qinshi noticed. My laptop is small and slim. The silver casing has beautiful curves. It's much nicer than my old bulky desktop. It's way better looking. I opened the files on my computer. I wanted to change a few data points. The data I was familiar with from repeated experiments. But I kept losing several times in a row. It was either a slip of the hand or I mixed up the order. Jiang Qinshi's sudden appearance left me quite unsettled. I took a deep breath and slowly calmed myself down. Only then did I manage to modify all the materials. I packaged it up and sent it over. Jiang Qinshi has been sitting quietly and obediently on the side, seeing me close my laptop. I also put down my phone. After a while, confirming that I was fine, she finally mustered the courage to speak softly. I'm sorry, did I interrupt your work? I turned to look at her. I politely said, it's fine. It's just a meeting. It doesn't matter if I go or not. Jiang Qinshi doesn't know whether this meeting is important or not, but it seems that he must have received a call in the middle of the meeting, and then ran to pick her up. Did you really only feel like 10 hours had passed? I asked a question that had been on my mind for a while. Jiang Qinshi nodded. For me, my parents just saw me off this morning. By the way, do you still have contact with my parents? Jiang Qinshi hurriedly asked. I was slightly taken aback. Your parents? What's wrong? Jiang Qinshi became anxious. Her eyes were filled with fear. She was very afraid of hearing any bad news. I glanced deeply at her and said, I haven't been in contact with them for a long time. Jiang Qinshi looked at me in surprise. I didn't expect this answer. After they got married, her parents really liked Gu Qi. Last night, her mom was still stuffing sausages into her suitcase, one after another. She asked her to bring some for me to eat. So that's why we haven't been in touch. Oh, right. It has been 23 years after all. Maybe they've already remarried. How could they still be in contact with their ex-wife's parents? I pressed my lips tightly and remained silent for a moment before speaking. I'm sorry. Jiang Qinshi forced a smile. Her eyes turned red. She quickly waved her hand, pretending it didn't matter. It's okay, everyone has their own life. After all, they aren't your real parents. After Jiang Qinshi finished speaking, she became cold. I didn't know what to say. I also lowered my head and stopped talking. Jiang Qinshi gazed out the car window. She bit her lip hard. Taking a deep breath, she then said, if it's convenient for you, take me to the train station or the bus station. It's fine if you just arrange a car for me. I want to go home. I want to go home to find my parents right now. Your family's old house was demolished a long time ago. Where did your parents move to now? I'm not really sure now either. I looked at her and replied. My hands unconsciously tightened into fists. I gently placed them on my knees. Yang Zhuang said calmly, "How about this? I'll ask someone to find out. You wait for news first. Go back in a few days. Has it been demolished?" Jiang Qinshi's heart has turned cold. She felt like the world suddenly turned pitch black. And she felt like a solitary boat in a vast ocean. Just as lonely, desolate, and afraid. And the only person she could see now. Only this familiar yet strange me in front of me. "I see, then I trouble you," Jiang Qinshi said softly. "You're welcome." I replied to her politely as well. Such formal and distant conversation seems to have built a thick wall between them, making both of them unable to see each other's feelings and thoughts beyond the wall. The two of them had no more words along the way. The car was silent. Jiang Qinshi kept her head down, stubbornly gritting her teeth, not letting herself cry, not letting herself get too close to me. I am not her Gucci. It seems like another person. Half an hour later, the car finally stopped at a somewhat old residential area. Jiang Qinshi looked at the community, although it looked a bit worn at night, but one could still tell this was theirs. The marriage house they bought together back then. Jiang Qinshi cast a glance at me. "Do you still live here?" I shook my head. "It's close to my workplace. I sometimes come here to take a nap. It's kept quite well inside. Water and electricity are both on. You can go take a look first. If it's okay, stay here. If not, I'll find you a hotel." "Oh," Jiang Qinshi replied softly. Not a single word I said meant I wanted to take her home. It must be inconvenient, right? "Professor Gu, should I wait for you downstairs?" the driver asked softly. I thought for a moment and replied, "You should head back first. I'll call you in a little while." The driver nodded in agreement and drove away. "Let's go." I grabbed Jiang Qinshi's luggage and walked ahead. Jiang Qinshi followed behind me, climbing the stairs step by step. When we reached the third floor, I took out the key and unlocked the iron door. I easily turned on the lights in the room. Jiang Qinshi looked around. The room was indeed very clean. It's evident that someone comes to clean regularly. The furniture arrangement is exactly the same as when she left. It's just that the wood has aged a bit. The walls have darkened a bit. Jiang Qinshi looked at this familiar environment. Her tense emotions relaxed slightly in an instant. "Come in." I greeted Jiang Qinshi, who was standing rigidly at the door. Jiang Qinshi walked in. She sat down on the sofa. I placed her luggage in the bedroom. I turned on the lights. "Is it okay for you to stay in this room?" Jiang Qinshi walked over to take a look. That was their master bedroom in the marital home. After they obtained their marriage certificate, I don't know how many times they, in that bed in this room, changed the sheets. Jiang Qinshi seemed a bit embarrassed. Looked at me, who appeared calm, and said it was fine. I brought the suitcase in. I took out a set of clean bedding from the closet. "Let me change it for you." No, I'll do it myself." Jiang Qinshi hurriedly tried to grab the bed linens. "I'll do it. It will be done soon." I firmly held onto the bedsheet and duvet cover in my hands, not allowing Jiang Qinshi to pull them away. Jiang Qinshi felt awkward about forcefully snatching them from me, so she had to let go. Seeing me quickly make the bed. Then I went to the kitchen to boil a kettle of water. I also took the opportunity to mop the floor. At first, Jiang Qinshi awkwardly followed behind. Later, I saw how quickly I was tidying up. She awkwardly sat on the sofa, feeling embarrassed to stand by and be in the way. He has certainly changed quite a bit. When we were together before, he was just like a little lord. He wouldn't want to do any housework. Every time I asked him to mop the floor, he can play tricks on her pitifully. When pushed to the limit by her, he would say, "How about we hire a part-time cleaner?" "No way, part-time cleaners are too expensive. We just got married, we can't waste money. I will work hard to earn money in the future. I'm just suggesting, let's clear one first. We'll talk about it when you make money." Jiang Qinshi angrily tugged at my ear. "Go and mop it now. Don't be lazy." Then I reluctantly went to mop the floor. After mopping, I had to run back, asking for kisses, hugs, and praise. In short, it continued non-stop. Jiang Qinshi looked at me silently. Here I was, tidying up the house neatly. I turned my head away a bit sadly. I sat awkwardly in silence on the sofa, my head down. Couldn't say a word. He's doing housework so efficiently now. It can't be that he's been trained by another woman. After I tidied everything up, I poured Jiang Qinshi a cup of just boiled water. Jiang Qinshi took the cup of water, drinking little by little. I just looked at her and didn't say a word. I stared deeply at her like that. Jiang Qinshi felt a bit embarrassed from the stare. Suddenly, a sound emerged at that moment. It was a gurgling sound. Jiang Qinshi turned her eyes around awkwardly. I stood up from the sofa and said, "Look at me, I've been busy tidying up the house. You must be hungry, right?" Jiang Qinshi nodded slightly, looking a bit embarrassed. "A little. Wait a moment, I'll go buy something." I quickly walked to the door to change my shoes. I grabbed the keys and went out. The door slammed shut with a bang. At the same time the door was closed. Jiang Qinshi breathed a sigh of relief. But she hadn't fully relaxed yet. Then came the sound of the key turning in the lock again. I pushed the door open. I leaned halfway in and asked Jiang Qinshi inside. I forgot to ask what you want to eat. Anything I can eat is fine. Jiang Qinshi is not picky. Think about those passengers who are just as unfortunate as she is. We still don't know if anyone is coming to pick her up. I gave her a heavy glance. I reminded her, don't go out, okay? Jiang Qinshi nodded, understanding. You absolutely must not go out. I reminded her again, feeling uneasy. Got it. Jiang Qinshi replied once more. She thought that by agreeing, I would leave immediately. But I still held on to the door, watching her stay still. She couldn't help but ask, what's wrong? It's nothing. I shook my head and looked at her deeply again. Only then did I close the door. I even double-locked it from the outside. After the lock turned with a clicking sound, I finally left. Jiang Qinshi raised an eyebrow. She concentrated and listened for a while. Only after confirming he was gone did she relax and lie back on the sofa. She turned her head and looked around her home. This is the wedding house she and I shared. Back when they had just gotten married, they didn't have much money either. After taking out a loan to buy a house in City B, there was almost no money for renovations. I felt too embarrassed to ask my family for help, so I could only start with the bathroom and kitchen. Then I bought a few buckets of paint myself. I just painted casually and moved in. Later, it was still my salary that came in. I bought flooring and put it down. I added a lot of plants and small decorations. Gradually, the house began to feel like a home. Despite Gucci being such a big guy, he always looks very clever. In reality, he is particularly bad with his hands. He would always knock over the paint bucket while painting. He would always hit his own hand while assembling things. He can't even change a light bulb. When they renovated together, she couldn't help but tease him. What can you really do? Every time she said that, she would hold her pretty face and act cute. He is good looking and can keep me warm in bed. Ugh, so annoying. Jiang Qinshi only remembered that she could never stand his tricks. She always couldn't help but pull him over to kiss him on the forehead. Every time after she kissed him, she groggily forgave the fact that he was hopeless at handling things. Thinking of those sweet memories from before, Jiang Qinshi couldn't help but smile. They aren't really past events. In her eyes, it was just something from 6 months ago. Even before the annual leave, I would still often cuddle her and act spoiled. When she thought of this, she remembered the one she had just seen. The serious and taciturn version of me had changed so much from the version she remembered. Jiang Qinshi couldn't help but sigh again. Just then, the sound of the door unlocking came again. I opened the door and walked in. I was holding a plastic bag in my hand. Breathing heavily, I locked my gaze on her in the room and said, I brought some food, let's eat. Jiang Qinshi walked over to the dining table. She took the takeout bag he handed her and opened it to take a look. Inside is a bag of KFC, New Orleans-style chicken wings and a box of egg tarts, and a New Orleans-style chicken leg burger. Jiang Qinshi felt as if something had struck her heart. She suddenly looked up and asked tremulously, why buy this? 23 years ago, when Jiang Qinshi got into the car, she texted me saying she wanted to eat KFC that night. After 23 years, she finally returned. Does he still remember? I lowered my head and opened the packaging. I took out the food one by one. I softly said that I bought it downstairs. Oh, Jiang Qinshi bit her lip and thought the same. How could I possibly remember? Although for her it was just a few hours. For me, it was a full 23 years. The text she sent 23 years ago. How could I possibly remember? I also don't know if back then, I bought KFC and waited for her at the station. I should have, right? Go ahead and eat. I noticed she wasn't moving. So I opened the box of egg tarts and offered it to her. Jiang Qinshi picked up an egg tart and stuffed it in her mouth. She finished it in just 2 bites. She pulled out a chicken leg and stuffed it in her mouth. She was munching on it heartily. She knew that if she didn't do this, she might end up crying. She could only use food to swallow those crying emotions. She swallowed it all down. Eat slowly. I couldn't help but advise. That's not all right. I haven't eaten in a long time, it's so delicious. Jiang Qinshi struggled to swallow. I didn't say anything more. I just kept looking at her like that. Eventually, my eyes started to turn red. Only then did I turn my head away with effort. After waiting for a while, I turned back to continue watching her. In those deep eyes, there seemed to be a lot of unspoken nostalgia and sadness. After finishing the food, I silently cleared the things off the table. Jiang Qinshi looked at me being so diligent. She always felt very uncomfortable. She didn't know what to say or do. After finishing her milk, she could only awkwardly rub her legs. I slightly narrowed my eyes, watching her small movements. She hung her head and stayed silent. The room was once again filled with eerie silence. Jiang Qinshi was so depressed she felt like dying. When she got in the car, she clearly thought about having a fierce debate with her little husband once she got home, to thoroughly discuss their plans for starting a family. But this suddenly changed. The person was still the same person. Whether he was her husband or not, she couldn't tell. Moreover, seeing my abstinent and serious demeanor, she truly had no thoughts left. Jiang Qinshi couldn't hold it in any longer and softly asked, "Are you not going back?" I raised my eyes to look at her. Jiang Qinshi immediately remembered. This is someone else's house. Saying this made it seem like she was trying to drive me away. Not right, not right. I quickly forced an awkward smile. I mean, how have you been all these years? Not bad. My eyes stayed fixed on her. Jiang Qinshi nodded. I also think you must be doing quite well. You look like a successful person now. A pillar of society, After saying that, Jiang Qinshi awkwardly stopped talking. Such flattery boring, superficial, and meaningless. How could she say that to me? She never said anything serious to me before. Not bad. My reply was also quite perfunctory. In her heart, Jiang Qinshi silently wanted to cry. She turned to grab the TV remote from the table. She turned on the TV to break the silence. But after changing channels several times, it was all just a blue screen. Why is the TV not working? I haven't paid the TV fee. I came out of the kitchen after throwing out the trash. Oh, Jiang Qinshi turned off the TV. Once again, I remember I don't live here. He may not even be her husband anymore. After all, she has been declared dead. I noticed her mood was somewhat low. I quickly took out my phone and said, "Nowadays, very few people watch TV, they all play on their phones. What's so fun about phones?" Jiang Qinshi adjusted her mood and replied, "Playing games." I smiled faintly and said, "There are all kinds of mobile apps. You can read news, watch TV, or play games." "Really?" Jiang Qinshi asked. "Can I take a look?" I nodded. He handed her his black phone. Jiang Qinshi quickly grabbed it to examine. She had long been itching to see my phone all the way here. Phones these days are really beautiful, just like the handheld game consoles of the past. But after fiddling with it for a while, she couldn't even turn on the phone screen. I said in surprise, "This phone, 23 years later, doesn't even have a button. Where do I press?" I couldn't help but chuckle. I moved over from the single-seater sofa. I sat down next to her. She extended her hand and unlocked the phone with her fingerprint, whispering in, "Tap here. This is really advanced. It feels amazing." Jiang Qinshi had a beaming smile on her face. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at me. I realized I was being a bit rude while looking at her. I smiled slightly and lowered my head too. She spoke gently while sliding her finger on the phone. "If you want to watch TV, you can use these video apps. Wait a moment. Why isn't this screen responding when I touch it?" Jiang Qinshi forgot her embarrassment for a moment. She was completely immersed in the new phone. "You need to slide with the pad of your finger, not your nail." I demonstrated in the air with my hand. Jiang Qinshi nodded repeatedly. She quickly learned to mimic my actions. She successfully slid her finger across the screen. "So that's how it works, it's really simple." I silently stood up again. I returned to the single-seat sofa from before. I lowered my eyes as if unconsciously saying it was always simple. Jiang Qinshi was stunned when she heard this. It was already very simple. I used to say this to her often. When we were in junior high together, I skipped a grade. I was clearly the youngest in the class, yet I had the best grades. She sat in the seat behind me. She always asked me to explain problems to her. My thought process was always very clear. As soon as I explained it, she understood and exclaimed, "So it was this simple." And I always said with a dismissive expression, "It was already very simple." Later, when I proposed marriage, she felt that she was older than me. She didn't have a better family background than I did during college. She thought she didn't match me at all. But I said, "Why think so much? As long as I like you, that's enough." But is marriage really that simple? At that time, she was extremely confused. Didn't many people say that marriage isn't just about two people, but rather a union of two families? But I assured her very confidently, it was really quite simple. In fact, she knew. My mother was not very satisfied with her. But later, with my insistence, they really got married smoothly. When she was with me, it seemed like everything, big or small, was easy. She just had to follow me. "What's wrong?" I looked at Jiang Qinshi, who suddenly froze. I asked, puzzled. "No. This phone is really nice." Jiang Qinshi chuckled awkwardly and made an excuse. "Do you like it? I'll have the driver go buy you one now." "No, no need." Jiang Qinshi quickly refused. "It's too late, there probably aren't any places open to sell it." "What kind of phone is this? You can tell this phone is expensive, you know." The little money she had on her. In this time period, I don't even know what it could cover. One must not spend money recklessly. I seemed to sense her thoughts and said kindly, "How about this, I'll take you around tomorrow. To get familiar with the surroundings." And we can buy a phone while we're at it. Is it okay? Would that be too much trouble for you? Jiang Qinshi asked uncertainly. Would his current partner allow him to go shopping with another woman? No, it wouldn't be a problem at all. I smiled at her reassuringly. It seems like this level of help is something I should do. Jiang Qinshi was happy. She also wanted to go out for a stroll. She was incredibly curious about this new, vibrant world. Although there was a hint of fear as well. But she has always been optimistic, believing that as long as she wants to, she will be able to quickly integrate into this world. Jiang Qinshi couldn't help but look up at me and smiled. This was after they met tonight. It was also her first natural and sweet smile. Then, thank you. You're welcome. I looked at her with a deep gaze like this. I have been looking at her with this gaze all night. Just sitting on the single sofa next to her. If it were before, we definitely wouldn't be sitting this far apart. We always like to stick together. She curled up in my arms. Or I lie on her lap. But now, this arm's length seems to carry a 23-year gap. It's so deep that no one dares to easily cross it. Jiang Qinshi won't look for videos on her phone. I took the phone and helped her. Jiang Qinshi took a sly glance at me. Her exquisite and beautiful brows and eyes seem deeper than before. Her features have become sharper and more defined. Time seems to have shaped me into a mature and composed man. No longer like when I was a boy, introverted and reticent with outsiders, but always patient and considerate with her. She teasingly toys with me. I would secretly blush, innocently pursing my lips, trying hard to suppress the joy in my eyes. She loves to see the light in my eyes back then, when I looked at her. At a glance, you can tell how much I like her. But now, my gaze is like a calm deep sea. It's still and quiet, yet completely inscrutable. Just look at this. I opened a page for a TV show. I handed the phone to her. I pulled her back from her thoughts. Jiang Qinshi looked down at her phone. She saw it was a show she recognized. Oh, isn't this Young Bao Qingtian? It aired up to episode 16 on TV last night. This one has already finished airing. Great. I can binge watch them all at once. There's even Young Bao Qingtian too. Why has the male lead changed? This is strange. What about the other Korean dramas I'm following? Find all of them for me. The drama fanatic Jiang Qinshi was instantly immersed in the obsession of binge-watching. For a moment, she forgot the tangled thoughts in her mind. Holding the phone, she watched with great interest. Yet I remained very quiet. I never dared to look at her freely. My eyes couldn't help but fixate on her again. She's still the same as in my memories. At such a vibrant and beautiful age, like a flower. Every frown and smile is so vivid and interesting. Her fair complexion still looks tender enough to squeeze out water. Her hair is black and has no strands of white. Her smile seems to drive away. The moon's haze disperses, making everything bright. Finally, she has returned. I can't believe it, but I still thank the heavens. They really brought her back. My hand resting on the sofa, slowly moved towards Jiang Qinshi's direction. It finally stopped just a fingertip away from her. I slightly pursed my lips. My eyes held a hint of heart-wrenching satisfaction. Yes, just being this close is enough for me. Just like when she came to ask questions in our youth. Every time after listening to the explanation, she would always rest her chin on the table. She said pitifully, "It's so hard, being a bad student is just too difficult." Then she tilted her head and rested. At that moment, her long hair would always fall some strands onto his desk. And my fingers quietly approached in the same way, as if getting closer would let me absorb the bright sunshine and the source of joy. It made my heart race all day long. I couldn't help but feel delighted. After all these years, I realized I hadn't made any progress at all. I couldn't help but scorn myself inside. Just as I wanted to get a little closer, my phone suddenly switched to the incoming call screen. In her panic, she accidentally touched the green answer button. Instantly, a bright and lively boy's voice came through the microphone. "Dad, where are you? Why aren't you home yet? Did you buy the math test papers I asked you for? The teacher said we need them for tomorrow." Jiang Qinshi was taken aback in an instant. She blankly turned to look at me. She didn't even notice her phone had fallen to the ground. The boy on the phone is still calling out, "Dad! Hey, Dad, say something." I reach out my hand and slowly pick up the phone. A gentle, suppressed voice comes through. "I'll go back later, I've bought the exam papers. Don't have a late-night snack at this hour. If you're really hungry, have a glass of milk. Don't wait for me, you should sleep first." Jiang Qinshi felt a chill in her heart. She had long guessed it, but hearing it for real still made her sad. She forcefully suppressed the acidity in her nose. Her reddened eyes couldn't hide it. After I finally hung up the phone, she opened her mouth and asked in a dry voice, "Your son?" I lowered my head. After a long while, I softly responded with a hum. "How old is he?" Jiang Qinshi asked. "He's 15, I replied softly. Nice to meet you." Jiang Qinshi tightened her fists forcefully. She forced herself to show a smile. You should go back quickly, don't keep your old waiting anxiously for you. Jiang Qinshi originally wanted to say about your wife and children. But the word wife just wouldn't come out. The thought of my wife becoming someone else made her both angry and sad, wanting to go mad right there. Yesterday, clearly, his wife was still me this morning. Why did it change in just 10 hours? Yet she couldn't express a single complaint. What could she say? Why didn't you wait for me? Wasn't I just missing for 23 years? Were you that impatient to marry and have children? What face does she have to say such things? Could she really be that selfish? For her, it was just a moment. But for me, it has been 23 years. 23 years, almost as long as my own age. Jiang Qinshi closed her eyes and said firmly, you should go back. I didn't move and silently lowered my head. The emotions I had been restraining for so long finally erupted. She stood up in a bit of a breakdown and screamed. You go back. Hurry back. You should rest early. I stood up from the sofa and softly said goodbye. I slowly walked towards the door, step by step. I opened the door and gently closed it. After Jiang Qinshi heard the sound of the door closing, she could no longer hold back and cried loudly, covering her face. She had already guessed it. Why was she still so heartbroken? But she just couldn't accept it. Her husband, who loved her deeply just yesterday. She was thinking about getting home quickly to be with me in bed that morning. By the time I got home at night, I was already someone else's father. What did she do wrong after all? Even wearing the green hat in such an absurd way. Forget it. She died wronged. I stood outside the door, slightly lifting my head. My eyes slightly red, the corridor lights came on, and I thought again. After a long while, I finally left the door. My steps were heavy. It seemed to be a mix of heart-wrenching pain and distress. August 2021. Regarding the amazing minibus incident, it has been suppressed. Initially, several news articles were also deleted from the internet. They were not exposed. It was merely treated as a supernatural phenomenon, included in a series of state confidential documents. A lot of time has passed since then. Scientists finally discovered, in 2000, this mysterious minibus encountered in the tunnel. A supernatural phenomenon of spatial folding occurring once in a millennium. This kind of supernatural phenomenon, to go from one end of a flat piece of paper to the other end, apart from walking the straight line between 2 points. You can also fold the paper to bring the 2 points closer. Therefore, as long as speed, location, and timing permit, this situation could happen. This supernatural phenomenon occurred. Occasionally in the following thousands of years, people collected these examples, hoping to find the true principles of spatial folding, to provide more information to the technological society. Of course, that's another story. And those who experienced spatial folding, it seems that I haven't become happy and joyful because of this magical time travel. Small things have made me happy and joyful. Jiang Qinshi hasn't either. She was almost regretting it to death. Regretting that she got on that inexplicable black car, losing the person she loved the most inexplicably. She lay on the sofa, crying herself to sleep. In her dreams, it seemed like she had returned to the past. Those were the days when I was still by her side. When Jiang Qinshi opened her eyes again, she saw a hand above her head, gently stroking her hair. Jiang Qinshi instantly forgot the time. The person in front of her transformed from a 16-year-old in a dream, into the middle-aged me now. Jiang Qinshi lifted the blanket covering her and sat up. What are you doing here? But it felt like I was still mumbling in a dream. All these years, I have always sat here. I always tell myself, maybe by dawn, you'll return. My voice is distant and low. That deep emotion feels like a knife. Each knock strikes at her heart. Jiang Qinshi, you finally came back. Jiang Qinshi bit her lip, feeling a bit sad inside. She replied softly, I have returned. Jiang Qinshi's response jolted me out of my illusion. I quickly took a step back. I clenched my fists tightly. Jiang Qinshi was startled by my sudden movement. But she quickly realized why. After all, I have remarried too. It's indeed inappropriate to say such nostalgic words to an ex. It's really not good. Jiang Qinshi quickly turned her head and pretended to be indifferent, asking, don't you need to take your son to school at this hour? No, he's in second year of junior high and can go by himself. I seem to have calmed down. My voice has stabilized a bit. Jiang Qinshi sighed in relief, but her heart was full of melancholy. You should go wash up first. We agreed I'd take you to buy a phone today. Oh right, Jiang Qinshi quickly washed up. She opened her suitcase again. She was getting ready to carry some money but didn't know how much to take. She called me to come in through the door. Gucci, how much is a phone? I looked at an old, in her hand, blue 100 yuan bill and smiled. This is the 4th edition of the renminbi. It can't be used anymore now. What? Jiang Qinshi looked at the money in her hand in shock. This was given to me by my dad. It's real money. How can it not be used? Now, only the new version of the renminbi is accepted. You have the old version. It was discontinued in 2018. I took a card out of my wallet and handed it to her. This is my highest limit credit card supplementary card. Just use my card for now. The password is my birthday, remember? June 26th, Jiang Qinshi blurted out. What does it mean for me to take his card? Jiang Qinshi thought for a moment. She still felt she couldn't accept the card. Let's just forget it. I can't take your card. Jiang Qinshi pushed the card back to me as if it were a hot potato. She shoved the card back into my hand. He also has his new family, with his current partner and son. What would it mean for her to use his card? She certainly didn't want to be out shopping one day, and have someone publicly grab her by the hair, questioning her why she was using someone else's husband's card. I naturally knew what she was thinking and said seriously, you don't need to feel such a heavy psychological burden. We still had some marital property that hadn't been divided. I made some money during the years you were away. Your share will be waiting for you when you settle down. I'll have my lawyer prepare a list of assets and transfer them to you. No need. We were so poor when we were together. What marital assets are there anyway? Jiang Qinshi smiled awkwardly. I stared at her without saying a word. Jiang Qinshi's gaze flickered, then she looked up for a moment. I casually said, but I paid for this house. You can take half of it. The house is in your name, so it's yours anyway. I took her hand and stuffed the card into it. She also held the card. Although Jiang Qinshi still wanted to refuse. I looked up at her for a moment. Her eyes were filled with a domineering rejection that was ineffective. Only then did Jiang Qinshi soften. She hesitantly accepted the card. My firmness left her no choice but to accept. It also made her feel quite unfamiliar. After over a decade of being classmates, friends, and lovers. In our marriage, she had always been the one to take the initiative. I always went along with her and accommodated her. Liang Xiao is so firm. Well, if you want to take it, then take it. Wait until we find mom and dad. She can just pay me back whatever she spent. Jiang Qinshi packed her bag to go out. I took her down for breakfast first. By 7 in the morning, the sky was already bright. The streets gradually became lively. Young people hurriedly rushed to work. Children were also being pulled by their parents, rushing quickly towards school. Old ladies carrying fresh vegetables, chatting about daily life side by side. Jiang Qinshi walked in the middle of the street, capturing scenes of bustling traffic and the vibrancy of life. There seemed to be an illusion. It felt like nothing had really changed much. But looking up at those skyscrapers rising from the ground, it made her clearly realize, time had already passed for 23 years. I took her across 2 streets into a breakfast shop. After sitting down, I spoke to her. This is the dumpling place you used to eat at often. They can't set up stalls anymore, the old couple has retired. It's the son and daughter-in-law who rented the shop and are still running it. The food is still quite good, you should try it. Good. Jiang Qinshi looked at the menu. Suddenly, she couldn't help but widen her eyes in shock and said, now, a meat bun costs $1.50. A basket of soup dumplings is $28. A bowl of beef noodles is $30. They still live in a world where things were $1.23 years ago. Jiang Qinshi trembled, covering her chest, and growled. He trembled, clutching his chest, and growled softly. Is there no cheaper place? It's quite normal for prices to rise, I reassured her repeatedly. Rising prices are normal now, I kept reassuring her. Jiang Qinshi took several deep breaths. She trembled as she pointed to the cheapest plain rice porridge with 2 buns. Has your salary increased? I looked at her and smiled. Yes, it has. I watched her smile grow. Don't worry. It's good, that's good. Although Jiang Qinshi really wanted to ask me, how much has the salary increased to now? But given the current relationship between the two of us, asking this topic seems a bit inappropriate. Just thinking about how I used to hand over my salary every month. I would turn it all in. And whenever I got a bonus or any unexpected money, I would happily present it to her seeking praise. My heart starts to feel uncomfortable again. She shook her head vigorously. A bit displeased, she added another basket of dumplings. Then she fiercely devoured them all. After finishing breakfast, Jiang Qinshi saw me holding my phone, and tapping it against a sign. Then she held the phone up to the boss and said, Boss, it's been paid. Okay, thank you. The boss was very busy. He glanced up quickly and indicated that he understood. How did you pay? I didn't see you take out any money. Jiang Qinshi asked softly. Mobile payment. I'll buy you a phone soon, and then you'll be able to use it. Okay, Jiang Qinshi quickly nodded. I can't wait to go buy it quickly. There's a large shopping mall not far from home. I plan to take Jiang Qinshi over there to check it out, a BL film. I'll also help her get familiar with the surroundings. I watched Jiang Qinshi curiously looking around. Gucci, where did the park behind us go? Wasn't there a row of bungalows over here? After a while, she pointed at a house. The ad posted outside the real estate agency said, Gucci, does this 140,000 really mean per square meter? Isn't that for a whole apartment? Is it 140,000 per square meter? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Gucci, Gucci. How much could our apartment be worth then? 1 millions. Wow. Jiang Qinshi clutched her chest, her heart racing with excitement. Oh my gosh, it feels like we've suddenly struck it rich. Gucci, why didn't we buy a couple more apartments back then? Can I sell the house? I've never seen so much money, 10 million. Jiang Qinshi's smile was simply uncontainable. There were glimmers of gold in her eyes. That joy coming from her heart made her shine so brightly that it could melt all the ice. It dispelled all the gloom. A gentle smile also spread across my face. My gaze followed her, watching her smile. I watched her bouncing with excitement. I saw her turn and happily jog a few steps before running back. She looked like the girl from my memories, bouncing and eager to share with the whole world that at this moment she was bursting with happiness. She always has the ability to infect me with her emotions. Like a little son in my world. My little son, who has been missing for 23 years, has finally returned. Unfortunately, I can never have her again. I watched, counting with my fingers. What kind of money-crazed girl is 10 million? She lowered her head with a slight bitter smile. Gucci. Jiang Qinshi suddenly called out to me. I was startled and quickly stepped forward to express concern. What's wrong? Jiang Qinshi stood at the mall entrance, dumbfounded. Is this the mall you mentioned? This mall is so big, we won't get lost, right? Yes, I smiled and said. Nowadays, malls are just a bit larger than before. They're just a little bigger than the old department stores. It's not just a little bigger, it's a lot bigger. Jiang Qinshi was somewhat amazed. Are malls this advanced now? Coffee shops, gyms, children's playgrounds. They have everything, even hot pot places. Jiang Qinshi felt like Lu Lao Lao entering the Grand View Garden. She found everything to be new and exciting. After a while, Gucci finished buying his phone. Can we go eat hot pot with lamb? Jiang Qinshi pointed to the large poster hanging on the wall nearby. The steaming copper hot pot looked enticing. She looked at me eagerly, desperate for food. The essence of a foodie was fully revealed. I suddenly felt quite useless myself. Sure, I nodded. It seemed like such a small request could definitely be fulfilled. Yay, Jiang Qinshi jumped up happily. She glanced again at the poster of the hot pot restaurant. The guy on the poster is really handsome. His smile is as cute as a little lamb. Is that a celebrity? Are male celebrities really this good-looking these days? In the era when she disappeared, the little tigers were clearly still popular. Jiang Qinshi's mind was spinning with random thoughts. I had already bought a cup of milk tea and placed it in front of her. Where do you want to start shopping first? The clothing section or the mobile phones? I'm fine with either, you can lead the way. I took a sip, and Jiang Qinshi enjoyed it. Instantly enveloped by the sweet taste of milk and syrup. So happy I could fly. What is this? This is so delicious. This is milk tea. I knew it. She loves drinking this sweet milk tea the most. It's really delicious. Jiang Qinshi happily walked forward while drinking the milk tea. Let's take you to buy a phone first. I always prioritize solving important matters first. Then let's go quickly. Jiang Qinshi wants to settle this quickly. Still thinking about the copper hot pot from the poster advertisement earlier. Jiang Qinshi excitedly tugged at my sleeve, unconsciously urging me to hurry up. I glanced at her hand. She discreetly pulled it back. I glanced at the mall's floor plan next to the elevator. I led her to the electronics and digital products section on the third floor. Jiang Qinshi's attention was captured by the diverse items in the mall attracted her. She couldn't suppress her urge to shop. She said this morning that she didn't want my card. Now, the internet is buzzing about getting slapped in the face. She originally planned to only buy a phone. But then she thought the new laptop looked really nice. I want one just like the one I use. Oh, is there a computer the size of a book? It looks really useful, I want it. Jiang Qinshi had a look that screamed she wanted everything. I silently got her a complete set. A whole set including a computer, iPad, and phone. Jiang Qinshi hugged her newly acquired gear. With her big eyes, she curiously looked at me. I was holding up my phone. It showed a symbol called a QR code on the screen. I just scanned it at the register, and it was all set. This is too advanced. She really wanted to try it right away. I led her to finish buying electronic products. Then I took her to the women's clothing floor to buy clothes. There are also bags, shoes, and some skincare products. As she shopped, she couldn't help but sigh. Things after 23 years are truly beautiful. She really wanted to buy everything she saw. Hee, what is there to be afraid of? Buy it. Once the house is sold, she can get 5 million. With that much money, buying these is just small change. Jiang Qinshi felt materialistic. She could finally just take what she liked without having to choose. Unlike before, when she always had to make excuses to try on clothes. In reality, she secretly checked the price tags in the fitting room. She compared prices at 3 stores, walking back and forth until her feet hurt. Now that she has money, she wants to indulge herself. Finally, Jiang Qianxi was tired from shopping, thirsty, and hungry. She smiled contentedly. Gucci, I'm hungry. Let's go eat hot pot. You worked hard today, so it's on me. You pay first. Once the house is sold, I'll pay you back together. A sense of helplessness flashed through my mind. That house means something different to me. I never thought about selling it, but I didn't expect her to just come back. She was thinking about selling the house all day long. I really wanted to knock some sense into her. Although I thought like this, I didn't argue with her at all. The two of them entered the hot pot restaurant. The purchased items piled up on the two long benches of the 8-person booth. Jiang Qianxi looked up and asked the waiter for the menu to order. The waiter pointed to the QR code on the table. Scan the code to order. Jiang Qianxi had a puzzled expression on her face. I had already scanned the code and handed my phone to her. Order here. Oh my, how is everything done with a phone now? Jiang Qianxi exclaimed while holding the phone. It's the era of the internet now. I smiled and said you'll get used to it in a few days. The two of them were ordering food. They didn't notice a young woman in the corner. She secretly took several photos of us while we were shopping. Posted in the work group chat. Oh my, Professor Gu is with a young girl at the mall shopping away, following along and paying the bills. Xiao Chen, did you see it wrong? Professor E has been a lifelong single dad. How could he be dating a young girl? Why would I lie? Just look at the pictures. The woman sent several photos in a row of me and Jiang Qianxi together. She focused on all those shopping bags on the floor. Oh my, Professor Gu is so generous buying all that for a girl. How old is the young girl, anyway? She looks so young, like a college student. Now Mr. He must be crying. He has pursued her openly and secretly for so many years. He still can't compete with a young girl who is so fresh and appealing. By the way, are there really men in this world? Don't you like young girls? Although Mr. He is a nice guy, his age is a disadvantage. Poor Mr. He. Have some pity on yourself. What you earn in a year is what others make in just a month. Don't say anything more. I hold myself tightly. The small group chat is buzzing with activity. A young woman is looking at the WeChat group chat on her phone. Without saying a word, she secretly downloads the photos from the group. She screenshots some chat records and sends them to another account. In the bright office, by the floor-to-ceiling windows, a woman with exquisite makeup dressed in professional attire. The woman in the suit hears the notification sound. She puts down the documents in her hand and picks up her phone to check. She looks at the contents of the images and slightly frowns. Gucci likes young girls. Kuyu scoffs and tosses aside her phone. There isn't even a hint of anger on her face. She doesn't believe it at all. No one understands this man better than she does. How deep his feelings were for his deceased wife. This man might have long lost the ability to love. All my love and waiting were given to those I loved before. Although this is hard for her to accept. However, this does not prevent her from being attracted to my charm. Over the years, she has only been from me. Approaching from the perspective of my son's life and growth. Hoping I can accept myself being by my side. As for the girl in the picture. She might be a relative of my family or something. You didn't take it to heart. He stock is in his son. Took out the documents to continue today's 1F. She worked for a while and then picked up her phone again. Opened my photo and looked at it enlarged. Slowly frowned. Strange, the me in the photo seems to be smiling. That gentle, light smile and relaxed, indulgent demeanor. It was something she had never seen before. Could it be that I really have changed my heart? Liking the young and beautiful girl. He swallowed nervously. Closed his eyes and thought for a while. Found my number from the contacts and dialed it. When the call was made, I was adding freshly cooked lamb to Jiang Qianxi's bowl. Meanwhile, Jiang Qianxi kept her head down. She was focused on studying the new phone she had just bought. She looked as though she was cramming for exams like she did back in college. She was more serious than when preparing for final exams. I didn't say anything to her. I let her play with her phone. I continued to cook meat and vegetables on my side. I kept adding various delicious foods to her bowl. Jiang Qianxi would play for a while and then eat a bit. Suddenly, Jiang Qianxi heard my phone ring. However, she saw that I did not answer it. She looked up and said with confusion, "Your phone is ringing." It was then that I reached into my pocket to take out my phone. In fact, I had heard the ringtone a long time ago. I was just too focused on cooking the meat. I was worried that the meat would get overcooked. I looked at the name on the phone. I tapped to answer. "Hello, I didn't go to the lab today. The project proposal for the new drug. I've almost finished organizing it. I can give it to you this week." "No problem." Jiang Qianxi seems to be fiddling with her phone. But her ears are attentively listening to every word I say. No need. Kids just casually mention where they need you to deliver something specifically. Really not worth it. Xiaozhi still has to go to tutoring in the evening. The class finishes very late. I have things to do today as well. I don't even know what time I'll get home tonight. Okay, see you in the lab tomorrow. I hung up the phone and returned to my seat. I then saw Jiang Qinshi looking at me intently. Who is it? A colleague, I answered casually. A woman? Jiang Qinshi raised her eyebrow. What's wrong? I nodded and looked at her. A female colleague going to your house at night to deliver something. What is she delivering? Jiang Qinshi sneered through gritted teeth. It's not for me. It's for Xiao Zhe. Xiao Zhe likes to eat the spicy chicken feet she makes. She just happened to make extra today. So I thought I would bring some over. I quickly explained. There's no need for you to explain to me. Does your wife know that your son likes to eat spicy chicken feet made by other women? It seems like you see each other often. You even brought your son along. But you couldn't tell when you were younger. Getting older has its charms. Hearing this left me a bit confused. Jiang Qinshi didn't even know why she felt jealous all of a sudden. She inexplicably felt a bit irritated. Irritated at herself for being angry at the wrong time. Annoyed at herself for reacting when she heard me call my son's name. Her heart felt so painful. She was so flustered that she didn't know how to face me. She wanted to unleash her anger on me. Ask me why she is in such a hurry. I took an unlicensed taxi. I became someone else's husband. Someone else's father. She wanted to question me. What charm is there? Obviously, I'm a married man. And colleagues have delusions about me. But why does she have the right to question me? This question made her even angrier. This guy was like this when he was young. Good-looking and attracts people. There were always a bunch of pretty girls around him. Classmates, female teachers, female bosses and colleagues. Even the female owner of the flower shop downstairs would like to give me bundles of flowers that couldn't be sold that day. And I was like a fool. I had no idea how popular I was. Now at my age, I still behave like this. So annoying. I'm tired, I want to go home. Jiang Qinshi stood up to chase after me. Why do you want to go home? The dishes aren't even served yet. At this moment, I also noticed she was unhappy. After all, I know Jiang Qinshi well. Even if there were something huge happening, it wouldn't stop her from wanting to have a hot pot meal. I have no appetite, I don't want to eat anymore. Jiang Qian's mood had hit rock bottom. Today, she picked up the heavy bags on the ground and walked out without looking back. She wasn't angry. Why would she be mad? Gu Qi was unclear with other women. If anyone should be angry, it should be his wife. What does that have to do with her? She was just a deceased ex-wife, after all. Jiang Qinshi continued walking forward, lost in her own thoughts and muttering to herself. She lashed out with a mouthful of sour words. After paying the bill, I chased after her. By coincidence, I overheard her words. Without missing a single word. Jiang Qinshi, slow down. I caught up and pulled her back. The mall was crowded, and I was afraid she would get lost. I didn't want to just wander and lose her again. However, Jiang Qinshi wants to break free from me. She looks around anxiously. Let go of me, what are you doing? What if your wife sees it? It'll be hard to explain. Damn it. Why does she feel guilty? Feeling guilty makes her want to cry. This man was clearly her husband just 2 days ago. Clearly, just the night before, when we were on the phone. I even promised her we would come back to have an intense battle. What about now? Don't even mention a battle. Even just touching her hand feels like a crime. Jiang Qinshi is feeling depressed. She is infuriated. She is truly wronged. Even though he isn't as wronged as her. What has she done wrong? Her husband just suddenly disappeared. I won't let go. Just looking at her without saying a word. Now, Jiang Qinshi feels very wronged. Clearly, just a moment ago, she was happy because she bought so many things. She was so happy that she temporarily forgot these unhappy things. But as soon as she thinks about it, she feels miserable and wants to cry instantly. I am no longer her husband. She really has no right to throw a tantrum here. She shouldn't be like this. I no longer have the obligation to tolerate her like before. To pamper her. I can take some time to go shopping with her. To help her pay by card. She should be grateful. But she still isn't happy. Qianxi, don't run around. I gently pulled her. I said in a nearly appeasing tone. If you want to go home, take this way. Jiang Qianxi listened to my soft words. She instantly calmed down, lowered her head, and said, I'm sorry, I think I was a bit willful just now. I'm just too tired, don't mind me. It's nothing. And I simply smiled with tolerance. As if her sudden little mood from before had completely disappeared. Asked gently, is there anything else you want to buy? No, nothing. Jiang Qianxi shook her head. Just thinking about this unfortunate incident. It's hard to be happy about buying anything. She just wants to go home now. Back to the home that still gives her some sense of safety. She misses her parents. In this world, aside from the old me, who could treat her without any reservations? Only her parents can do that. In fact, she has asked people to inquire about her parents' whereabouts. After I got back last night, she dialed every number in the contacts of her antique phone. The phone numbers in her address book. She went through them one by one. Only one classmate's number got through. No one has any news about her parents. It is said that in the first few years after she went missing, some of her close classmates, and still visits her house for New Year's every year, helping her parents make dumplings, and have a reunion dinner together. Later, they heard that her house was being torn down, and her parents did not know where they had moved. Jiang Qingling sighed, turning to look at me, her eyes filled with doubt. Gucci really doesn't know where her parents are. How is that possible? The sense of unfamiliarity when they met the day before made her hesitant to dig deeper. But after spending this day and night together, she can be sure. I still have some feelings for her. With my kindness and generosity, it's impossible for me to neglect her parents. I don't even have a way to contact them. Am I hiding something from her? Jiang Qinshi lowered her head. She tightly gripped the shopping bag she had just bought. Her mind was a jumble of random thoughts. I called the driver to bring the car up from the garage. He parked it at the exit closest to us. We got in one after the other. Jiang Qinshi watched as I helped her carry things and opened the car door for her all the way. Once home, I planned what she would do in the afternoon. I even paid the long overdue television bill. I also turned on the TV with the remote. I switched to the page of her favorite idol drama. The more attentive and thorough I am, the more certain Jiang Qinshi's suspicion becomes. Finally, as I finished packing everything up, and picked up my briefcase to head out, Jiang Qinshi suddenly stood behind me and asked in a deep voice, "Gu Qi, where are my parents?" I stopped putting on my shoes. I turned around to look at her, only to see Jiang Qinshi's expression serious, her eyes heavy. She seemed to sense something. Her body was tense, as if in defense or preparing to attack. As if I would dare to lie, that she would immediately expose me if I tried. I furrowed my brow, my heart in turmoil. I knew I shouldn't hide this from her, but she had just entered this strange world for her. I didn't want to tell her this bad news so soon. I hoped to take my time. Maybe by delaying, it would spare her some pain. But now I know. I can no longer hide the truth. This clever woman has already guessed it. She has already passed away. I looked at her sadly and said softly. Jiang Qinshi suddenly felt a blinding light flash before her eyes. She felt dizzy and powerless. She stumbled a couple of steps, supporting herself against the sofa, using her last bit of strength to keep from falling. When Jiang Qinshi gritted her teeth and asked with red eyes, "Mom left early, she passed away 15 years ago. Dad passed away 5 years ago." I answered softly, my voice filled with tension. "My in-laws are good people. They treated me as one of their own. Their passing hit me hard. After all, they were a part of this world. They were one of the few ties I had with Jiang Qinshi." Tears couldn't help but stream down Jiang Qinshi's face. How did they pass away? They were ill. Jiang Qinshi's voice grew quieter and quieter. Were they in pain when they left? I comforted her. Fortunately, their illnesses were urgent. They didn't suffer much. They probably missed you more. There. The aftermath. The funeral arrangements are taken care of. Jiang Qinshi asked, choked with emotion. I took care of all the funeral arrangements. It was very dignified, you can rest assured. I walked over, wanting to support her and give her some strength. I wanted to hug this poor girl. But Jiang Qinshi kept her head down. She forcefully restrained herself and said softly, "Thank you, Gu Qi." After saying that, she turned around. She slowly walked back to her room. She closed the door and locked it tightly. It seemed like this was the only way to prevent her from collapsing into my arms and crying. Jiang Qinshi bit her finger and cried, choked with sobs. It's ridiculous, isn't it? In this world, there isn't even one person she can cling to and cry her heart out. She has no relatives left. Not a single relative is left. She's truly left all alone. Who can tell her what to do? I listened to the sound of crying coming from the room. I stood there in a daze. After a long time, I finally called my colleague. I cancelled this afternoon's lecture at a university. I rummaged through a pile of shopping bags scattered on the floor. I found a bag of fresh groceries from the supermarket. I sorted them and put them into the fridge. Jiang Qinshi cried in the room for a long time that afternoon. By evening, there was not a sound. Maybe she cried herself out. I lowered my head and thought. On the gas stove, a pot of kelp and rib soup was simmering. I stared without blinking. I was mesmerized by the swirling smoke from the clay pot. The world is unpredictable. One day before Jiang Qinshi went missing, she watched a Korean drama. The male lead in the drama made the female lead a pot of kelp and rib soup. She found it particularly romantic. So she kept urging me to learn to make it for her. I was too young back then. I was also pampered by my parents. I didn't like doing housework, even though I promised. It took me a long time to actually learn. However, I never got the chance to do it. Then the new year came. Jiang Qinshi returned to her hometown alone before the new year. She didn't pinch my cheeks and say she would wait for me to cook for her when she came back. Back then, I agreed wholeheartedly, but I never expected that 23 years would pass. I never had the chance to cook for her. Today, I can finally make her seaweed and spare rib soup. I take it I've finally waited long enough. And how many dishes did my in-laws want to make for her? Yet they never got the chance. I understand how regretful and painful it was for them when they left. I understand how much they worried. I also understand how Jiang Qinshi feels now. The pain of losing a loved one. The sorrow of never being able to see them again. It's like a violent meat grinder. It grinds the whole heart into pieces. It hurts so much that even using all my strength to cry out was useless. Crying out with all my strength was useless. I sat in the restaurant for a long time. The seaweed soup has cooled down. I heated it up again. Over and over again. It was late at night, and Jiang Qinshi still hadn't come out. I walked over and knocked on the door. There was no sound coming from the room. I couldn't help but worry. I found the spare key and opened the door. I saw Jiang Qinshi curled up alone in the corner, still crying in the dark room. I walked over and squatted down. I reached out and gently patted her shoulder. Jiang Qinshi lifted her head that was buried in her arms. Her voice was hoarse from crying. I'm fine, in fact, I had guessed it. How could they possibly change their number? How could they make themselves unfindable? Should we go back and take a look? I buried them all in my hometown. Jiang Qinshi shook her head gently, tears falling. I don't want to go, at least not right now. I'm not ready yet. She doesn't want to face the cold tombstone. She doesn't want to confront reality. If she doesn't look, she can still deceive herself. Her parents are still alive. She just returned to work in the city after the New Year's holiday. She'll have time to go home when she has a break at the end of the month. Her parents will still be the same as before. A table full of dishes is waiting for her at home. She still remembers the warmth of their hands. She remembers their eager smiles. She even clearly remembers when she left home yesterday. Dad helped her drag her suitcase to the corner. I even called her a cab and insisted on sending her to the station. But she refused. She said, Dad, you should go back, don't bother. If she had known that was the last time they would meet, she definitely would have let Dad take her. She would have let Dad take her to the station. She would have had Dad help her with her luggage. She would have embraced him with all her strength. To say goodbye to him with 1,000 words. To tell him with the truest heart. Dad, I love you. Jiang Qinshi thought of this. Tears couldn't help but flow down again. She lowered her head and choked out the question. Gucci, can I wait a bit longer to go? Of course you can. I know you can't accept it right now. My voice is filled with magic. So gentle and calm. So comforting to the heart. Take your time. When you feel ready to go, just let me know then. Jiang Qinshi couldn't help but thank him once again. Thank you, Gucci. I glanced at her. I didn't respond. I only thought to myself. This was the second time she had thanked me today. She never used to thank me before. She would always take it for granted to ask me for this and that. When I was dissatisfied, she would hold my face and press my head to kiss me. Then she would smile sweetly and say, I love you so, so much. Asking you to help me with just this little favor. It's to give you the chance to respond to me. You need to cherish it, understand? And I'm always soothed by her sweet words like this. I can't even muster a bit of resentment. But now, she keeps saying thank you, Gucci. This is never what I wanted to hear. I stand up and say softly, I made pork rib and seaweed soup. Come out and eat a little. Thank you. I don't want to eat. Jiang Qinshi said dejectedly. I silently lowered my eyes. I didn't persuade her again. I turned and slowly walked out. I closed the door behind me. I went to the kitchen and turned off the gas stove. Silently, I ladled a bowl of pork rib and seaweed soup onto the dining table. I had only just reached the door. I changed into my leather shoes and left. My silhouette merged with the deep night. It gradually faded. It seems even the night cannot cover my loneliness. Since Jiang Qinshi learned of her parents' passing, I have been depressed at home for half a month. I haven't even gone out the door. Only I take time every day to visit her. I even hired a helper to buy groceries, cook, and clean every day. I make sure everything is arranged for her. But by 9 o'clock in the evening, I have to go back home to help my child with homework on time. Jiang Qinshi watches me dart back and forth. Inside, I feel both moved and troubled. She is very afraid that my wife will suddenly come running after me, to confront her directly. After all, she herself thinks. She feels like a hidden mistress kept in a golden house. Even the helper who comes daily to do work for her, looks at her with a strange gaze, as if she is engaged in some improper profession. Wait, who is the mistress here? It's hard to say who is older or younger. Not cultured. She definitely doesn't want to compete with other women for a man. She looks down on such people the most. Although I'm doing well. In the past, she wanted nothing more than to keep me at home in bed every day. But now her father and I are about the same age. And she really can't bring herself to do it. Moreover, Guqi's son is already 15 years old. She doesn't want to be a stepmother to such a big kid. Every day, Jiang Qinshi gets up, and has to go through This kind of mental struggle and self-brainwashing. To keep herself from becoming more dependent on me. She is an independent woman. Who is well educated. She doesn't allow herself to fall into being supported by someone. Even if that person is me, it wouldn't be acceptable. Moreover, if her parents found out that I was supporting her, they would be furious enough to rise from their graves. No matter what, she has to live well, in order to face her parents again. Jiang Qianxi has made up her mind to pull herself together. She feels that she should find a job first. Re-entering society. She asked me to teach her how to apply for jobs online. But for some reason, all went unanswered. Until one day, after she got in touch with an old classmate, she finally secured a job interview. I think you don't need to rush into finding a job. At that moment, I was somewhat disapproving. I didn't want her to go out or run around aimlessly. Jiang Qianxi said while organizing her documents. How can I live if I don't look for a job? I don't want you to support me forever. Why not? I asked softly. You tell me why it can't be. Gu Qi. I'm not that kind of casual woman. Don't think you can keep a stable home. While outside, others are having fun. What's the matter? You want to keep a mistress on the side while supporting me? Ha, don't dream about it. Jiang Qianxi shot me a glare. She quickly expressed her stance, hoping to draw a clear line with me. I watched her clench her hands and press her lips tightly together. Suddenly, she asked, what about my divorce? Is it okay if I get a divorce? No. It's not possible. Jiang Qianxi's heart skipped a beat, feeling a bit flustered. I don't want to be someone else's stepmother. You think I'm too old, don't you? I gave a faint, cold smile. It's not. Stop being sarcastic. Jiang Qianxi firmly denied it. I looked at Jiang Qianxi. That's just how Jiang Qianxi is. Every time she spoke more indignantly and fiercely, the more it sounded like a lie. As if the louder she spoke, the less people would see her insecurity. I sighed. What kind of job do you want to find? I can help arrange it for you. No need. I've already found one. Jiang Qianxi quickly shook her hands. I am a top student from C University. Why would I need to rely on you to pull strings for a job? I looked at her. My eyes were filled with concern. You remember my college classmate Chen Hai, right? He now runs a media company and is in need of staff. It aligns with my major. I'm planning to go check it out over there first. Relying on my connections doesn't work. You can rely on your male classmates' connections. My tone wasn't good. It's different, Jiang Qianxi quickly said. Anyway, it's just different. Jiang Qianxi shouted stubbornly. She went straight to organize the interview materials. She quickly packed up her things. She angrily opened the door and walked out. Seeing this, I grabbed her bag from behind. I'll take you there. No need. Jiang Qianxi remained stubborn as ever. I'll go by myself. You know the way. What if you get lost in such a big city? Jiang Qianxi stood still. Let me take you. It wouldn't be good to be late for the interview. My tone softened. Jiang Qianxi responds to kindness, not harshness. After hearing my advice, she reluctantly followed and got into the car. Chen Hai's company is located outside the 5th ring in B City. It's an industrial park. He originally was in the same class as Jiang Qianxi. The two weren't familiar with each other at first. Because during their sophomore year, Chen Hai has pursued a girl from Jiang Qianxi's dormitory, and Jiang Qianxi has helped quite a bit. Their relationship was fairly good at that time. In fact, Chen Hai didn't have much affection for Jiang Qianxi. After all, she was a classmate from 23 years ago. The memories have long since faded. But this matter is indeed quite unusual. So after he invited Jiang Qianxi, he arranged for his secretary to wait downstairs early in the morning. When Jiang Qianxi arrived at the industrial park, she looked at the spacious and bright office building. She couldn't help but exclaim, wow, Chen Hai is doing quite well. This company looks quite large in scale. I glanced at the company's scale and said casually, it would be strange if you weren't doing this well at this age. Wow, what an attitude you have. Is your company bigger than his? I don't have a company. Then what are you saying? Jiang Qianxi said with a bad tone. I wasn't even angry when she snapped at me. I said calmly and confidently, although I don't have a company, I'm doing just as well as he is. Alright, you all are doing well. I guess I'm the one who's the worst off. Jiang Qianxi felt a bit discouraged. You'll be fine too. I comforted her gently. Jiang Qianxi looked up at me briefly. Then she lowered her head again, murmuring to herself. Why is he being so gentle with her? Is this Miss Jiang? Chen Hai's secretary greeted us as soon as we walked in. She came over from a distance. President Chen is already waiting for you in his office. Please follow me. You wait for me downstairs. Jiang Qianxi said to me quietly. I responded good-naturedly. I pointed to a sofa in the lobby. I'll wait for you over there. Jiang Qianxi nodded and followed the secretary into the elevator. When the elevator door closed, I could still see her standing outside the elevator door. I kept watching her, melancholy and silent. Jiang Qianxi suddenly remembered. It was the same when she went out to look for a job before. I would always make time to accompany her to interviews. Back then, I had just graduated and didn't have any money. She would take the bus for every interview. The bus was always crowded. They would always be squeezed tightly together. I would always pull her to a corner. I would let her stand inside. One of my hands would hold the handrail, and with the other hand, I would keep her enclosed. She would always gently rest her head against my chest. Her hands would be on my waist. Whenever she would secretly look up at me, they would all wonder why even I was shaped so well. Why does she have such a beautiful chin? Why does she have such a beautiful chin? And I would always look down at her with a smile. The light in her eyes was dazzling. It was so beautiful that she can't forget it even now. When we reached our stop, I would tightly hold her hand, pulling her through the crowd. I stayed with her until we reached the entrance of the interview company before letting her go. Then I nervously fixed her hair and clothes even more than she did. Finally, I clenched my fist and shouted encouragement to her. She would nod enthusiastically in response. When she thought of me waiting downstairs during the interview, she wouldn't feel nervous at all. At that time, she successfully got several job application forms from major companies. Jiang Qinshi lowered her eyes. She smiled while reminiscing about those worries as if they were from yesterday. The elevator reached the 4th floor. The secretary brought her to Chen Hai's office. As she opened the door, she saw a middle-aged man with thinning hair, standing up with a bulging belly. He looked at her in shock. Jiang Qinshi, Chen Hai. Jiang Qinshi tried hard to find the familiar features on his face, which was squished by fat. She searched for the once familiar facial features. Finally, after a round of pleasantries, Chen Hai generously offered Jiang Qinshi an internship salary of up to 1,000 a month. He also said he would raise it when she becomes a permanent employee. But when Jiang Qinshi happily went to report this good news to me, I quietly glanced at her. It's like being a free laborer and still being happy. All right. Looking at her sparkling eyes, I didn't have the heart to dampen her enthusiasm. All right then. Let's treat it as a learning experience. I will definitely work well. Jiang Qinshi happily tried. Then you should hurry back. I'm starting my internship today. Okay, what time do you finish work? 6 o'clock. Jiang Qinshi held up her hand to show us 6. I nodded. I'll come pick you up tonight. Jiang Qinshi looked at me as if she wanted to refuse. But in the end, she nodded and agreed. She is still not very familiar with this new world. You should go in quickly. Aren't you leaving? I'll wait until I see you go in before I leave. Jiang Qinshi nodded and turned, jogging to work. I watched her silhouette enter the elevator. She lowered her eyes and turned to walk out. I hesitated and paced at the entrance of the company. I was unsure. Finally, I turned around. I walked to the corner sofa in the company lobby and sat down. It was her first day at work. I was always worried. Rather than being distracted in the lab, it was better to wait here for Fei. In the morning, Jiang Qinshi was bombarded by this group of young people at the company, who crazily ingrained new media knowledge into her. She registered for various accounts on more than 10 software platforms. She also watched countless promotional short videos made by the company before. Jiang Qinshi absorbed this knowledge like a sponge. She quickly absorbed all this information. She also noted down several editing software she had to learn. She planned to go home and self-study a bit. She also registered a Weibo account. Jiang Qinshi was scrolling through Weibo today. Someone suddenly found my photo trending. She clicked on the news in surprise and looked. The video text read, "Domestic young bioscientist Gu Qi leads a team to develop a new drug. There is significant efficacy for degenerative diseases of the central nervous system. There is significant efficacy for degenerative diseases. This research achievement has received the International Lasker Award." Jiang Qinshi clicked on the video. She saw me wearing a well-tailored suit. I received the trophy on stage, and spoke in fluent English. Jiang Qinshi looked at the mature and composed man in the video. She felt that this was not the Gu Qi she knew. 22 years. She couldn't even imagine I could become like this. This is amazing. Jiang Qinshi entered my name into Baidu Baiki. The awards and titles on the entry nearly blinded her with astonishment. She scrolled down further. There were even photos with important national leaders. Jiang Qinshi widened her eyes and couldn't help but sigh. How much of a promising stock did I choose back then? What great insight. Unfortunately, this promising stock inexplicably disappeared. I haven't even gotten my share yet. Back then, she went through difficult times with me. Jiang Qinshi was so angry that she kept banging her head on the table. She wanted to cry. I really am doing well. If she were still my wife now, that would really be something to enjoy. Unfortunately, I don't know who took the opportunity. She even had a child. She was very angry. Soon, it was time to get off work. When Jiang Qinshi walked out of the elevator, she immediately saw me waiting in the lobby. I don't know why. Tonight she looked at me and felt I was shining with golden light. No, it was the light of wisdom. She thought about how poorly she had treated me these past few days. As if she had committed a crime. She actually bossed around such an important person to the country. Jiang Qinshi knocked on her own head. She walked over and said softly, "You're here. Have you been waiting long? I'm sorry to trouble you to pick me up when you're so busy. I really feel bad about it." I raised my eyebrows. I don't understand why she suddenly became so friendly. This morning, she was like she had eaten explosives. But I still smiled. Gentle like the evening glow at the horizon. "I just arrived." I smiled and took the bag from her hand. Walking gentlemanly on her left, I softly asked, "What do you want to eat tonight? How was work today? Are you adapting?" "Anything is fine, I don't have anything particular I want to eat. The learning period is still okay," Jiang Qinshi casually replied. And just like that, a month passed quietly. Jiang Qinshi had almost adapted to this kind of life. Going to work and coming home every day. Sometimes I would come to take her out for a drive. Sometimes I would come to her place to see her. I wouldn't do much, just really come to see her. Teach her some basic knowledge needed in today's society. Even some of the few she recorded. Video editing software and graphic design software. I can use it too. Sometimes I teach her how to use it. It feels like I'm back in high school again. I always explain various concepts to her. She listens, feeling calm and warm inside. I have no other thoughts at all. Until a big Jiang Qinshi took the car I sent for her to go home. But just as she arrived at the entrance, she glanced over. She saw a woman in her 30s. Standing at her front door. The woman was dressed very simply. She wore a well-fitted dark blue professional suit. When she turned to look at Jiang Qinshi, she seemed to be quite surprised. "Who are you?" Jiang Qinshi asked as well. "I came here with Gu Qi. I watched him take the groceries inside." The woman looked down at Jiang Qinshi and asked, "Do you live here?" Jiang Qinshi seemed to guess who this woman was. She pressed her lips together and answered with a bit of uncertainty. "What's wrong with me living here?" The woman looked at the door and said with a tone of sadness and resentment, "He has been leaving early and returning late every day recently. He hardly even goes to the lab. I thought he was busy with something. It turns out he came to find you." Jiang Qinshi held onto the wooden railing. She didn't know what to say. She admired this woman quite a bit. It's surprising that she can still maintain such good composure now. If it were her, she would have rushed forward to tear her apart long ago. And then beaten me up again. The woman took a deep breath. "I know Gu Qi is a charming man. But he is also a family-loving man. His son will be taking the high school entrance exam next year. Once he starts high school, he'll have to prepare for college. For at least 4 years, he definitely won't be influenced by personal feelings, as it would affect the child's grades. In 4 years, he will be close to 50. I know you're young and can afford to wait. But there's no need, right? Besides, you're so young and beautiful. What kind of man can't you find? Although Gu Qi is somewhat well-known domestically, but I'm not someone extremely wealthy or privileged. The things I can offer you are also limited. I believe you are a clever girl. Then I hope we won't meet again next time." After the woman finished speaking, she walked down step by step toward Jiang Qinshi. As she passed by Jiang Qinshi, who had her back to her, she whispered, "Don't let him know that I was here. I want to give him some face." After saying that, she didn't linger any longer. She walked away in her high heels. Jiang Qinshi felt so ashamed that she couldn't lift her head. Clearly, she was very angry inside but couldn't argue back. She felt utterly suffocated. She was the original wife. Why should she be mocked by someone like this for so long? The other party is just a newcomer. In ancient times, such a concubine should kneel to serve her tea. If she disagreed, the other person couldn't even enter. Now it's quite the opposite. This person is showing off in front of her. What do you mean she's very clever? What does "give some face" even mean? Jiang Qinshi was nervously picking at her hair. She bit her lip in shame and anger. Just as she was about to turn and flee, the door opened from the inside. "I saw her." She revealed a gentle smile. "I was just about to go downstairs to meet you." Jiang Qinshi entered the room with her head down. Now, she found it hard to meet my gaze. She was thinking that the woman from earlier was quite attractive. She had a great presence as well, though her words were soft-spoken. Although her words were soft, they were laced with sharpness. It was still very refined. Moreover, she clearly caught me hiding another woman in the house. Yet she still pretended not to know. She must love Gu Qi very much. Although she tried to act tough, the panic in her eyes still showed through. She was afraid of losing Gu Qi to me. Jiang Qinshi looked at me, bustling around in front of her. She thought of my son again. She had seen him before. That boy doesn't look very much like me, but his demeanor is exactly the same. Youthful, sunny, proud, and reserved. Just like the impression I had of her as a teenager. Although it was just a meal together, the admiration and reverence in that child's eyes for his father was almost unmistakable to anyone. If he knew about my relationship with Gu Qi, he would definitely be hurt, right? Someone soft-hearted and kind like me would surely feel guilty for hurting their own son. They would definitely be overwhelmed with self-reproach. Jiang Qianxi furrowed her brows in discomfort. I placed the prepared dishes on the table. I called Jiang Qianxi to come eat. Jiang Qianxi sat down. She picked up her bowl and ate it bite by bite. I looked at her just like I do every day. I gazed at her deeply and quietly. My eyes were filled with contentment. How does it taste? I asked. Very good. Jiang Qianxi replied mechanically. If you like to eat, I'll come and cook for you often. Jiang Qianxi paused slightly upon hearing this. After a moment of silence, she felt she could no longer continue like this. Slowly putting down her chopsticks, she looked at me and said, "No need, Gu Qi. Don't be so good to me." I looked up at her in confusion. Jiang Qianxi's voice was very soft and serious. It carried a hint of determination. "Don't come looking for me anymore." Upon hearing this, I slowly put down my chopsticks. I was completely stunned there. Jiang Qianxi looked at me seriously and said, "You also don't need to drive me to work. I have already learned to take a taxi. I'll stay in this house for a while. When I find a place, I will move out. You don't need to worry about me. You don't have to take care of me either. I can live very well on my own. I have already learned online payment. I can order takeout and buy things by myself. I also have a job now. I can support myself." I looked at Jiang Qianxi with red eyes. "But you still need my care right now." "No need," Jiang Qianxi said coldly, clenching her hands. "I don't want your care, I don't. I can manage on my own." I looked at her and patiently asked after a moment of silence. "What's wrong? Did something happen? Someone must have said something. I am always this smart," Jiang Qianxi thought. "Really, nothing can be hidden from me. Your current wife has come looking for you," Jiang Qianxi said. "My wife?" I frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, it seemed she thought of who it was. Jiang Qianxi said, looking down at the table. "Gu Qi, you know that. I don't have much of a moral bottom line. I have been trying very hard to resist. You keep coming to take care of me so often. I'm afraid I might ruin your family. I don't want to become that kind of woman. I don't want you to become that kind of bad man. I don't want to turn our past feelings and fate into a shameful relationship. Into a relationship that cannot be seen in the light. I hope you will always be the most perfect one in my heart. Those memories will always be the sweetest and happiest ones." Jiang Qianxi said with sadness and anxiety. "Gu Qi, thank you for your care. I know you still have feelings for me. You can't bear to let go. But this is not right. Back then, I was the one who pursued you. Let me be the one to say it this time." Jiang Qianxi looked at me and continued softly. "Gu Qi, let's end it here, then. You should go home." Jiang Qianxi said softly. It seems that using a bit more strength would make the heart hurt even more. But her heart had long been broken. "Your son is waiting for you at home." I slowly lifted my head, which I had been keeping down, silently looking at her, choosing to use those eyes that she loved the most during her youth, looking deeply at her. Her eyes were red and puffy. She looked like she wanted to say something but hesitated. It made her heart ache terribly. She dared not look again and turned away. "You can let me stay in this house for a while. I'll move out once I get my paycheck." After Jiang Qianxi finished speaking, she stepped out. I heard her softly saying behind me, "The house is for you. I don't want it." Jiang Qianxi's hand rested on the doorknob. Tears dripped down in drops. She opened her mouth. She took a deep breath and said, "Back when we bought the house, my family only contributed 50,000 yuan. There's no need to split the house with me. Your name is on the property deed." I stubbornly said from behind. "Yes, you did write my name. But Gu Qi, that was in the past. Now your property should be left to your son, and not just given to an outsider like me." After Jiang Qianxi finished speaking, she could no longer bear it. She opened the door and walked out. She couldn't stay in the same space with me anymore. That caused her too much pain. She was afraid she would cry and scream. For a moment, she held on to me, begging me not to leave her, asking me to return to her side. But she didn't dare. She didn't dare to do that. Afraid I would agree. Someone as kind and upright as me would betray the family for her, would bear the guilt for the child alone, the reproach of relatives, the strange looks from those around me, returning to her side, battered and bruised. She truly couldn't bear it, couldn't bear to let me suffer even a little more. I should have been living a peaceful life by now. A man like me would surely lead a good life, would make those around him very happy, but she would ruin all of that, returning me to a life of chaos and torment. Rather than continuing this sad entanglement, it's better to let her cut it off herself. She let me go like that. It was the best choice. In the room, I stood there alone, dazed. The table full of dishes slowly turned cold from steaming hot. Just like my heart. Once again, I fell into a cold abyss. It felt so familiar yet so painful. I blinked slightly. I lowered my head. I wrapped the food on the table with plastic wrap and put it in the fridge. I placed the used dishes and chopsticks in the sink. I washed the dishes mechanically. Some droplets fell from above into the sink, mixing with the cold water. You can't see the color and no one knows. The sound of the flowing water was loud. It covered all other sounds. After a long time, the people in the room left. Everything returned to the way it was. When Jiang Qianxi returned home again, this is the scene she faced. A clean and tidy room. A dim restaurant making ice. Not a single person around. No one is busy in the kitchen. No one is sitting on the couch waiting for her. No one is mopping back and forth. No one. It's so quiet, it feels frozen. She can't feel the slightest warmth. A long time has passed. Jiang Qianxi suddenly spoke to herself. Ah, it's gone. Everything is gone. I really want it. If only I had fallen back then. No, no. Can't cry. Jiang's feelings are cold now, turning back. You can be fine on your own. You can do it. Even if you're alone, you have to live well. Beautifully. You should happily go home to see your parents. Yes, just like that. Jiang Qianxi kept hypnotizing herself. She went back to her room and fell asleep. If she falls asleep, she won't be sad. Sleeping is enough. Jiang Qianxi wrapped herself tightly in the blanket. She bundled herself up snugly, not sure if she fell asleep or not. She didn't move a bit all night. It was as if I had truly fallen asleep. I got into the car, cold-faced and silent. The driver cautiously asked, "Where is Professor Gu going?" "Home," I replied. The driver drove along the road. I took out my phone and called Hiyu. After a while, the call went through. "You came to my old house today. She spoke to you. The little girl nowadays really lacks integrity," Hiyu said on the other end of the line. "What does my matter have to do with you? On what basis do you go looking for her?" I scoffed mockingly. "Based on your status of having pursued me for over 20 years without success. Or based on your self-proclaimed identity as my backup girlfriend. Gu Qi, I think you need to calm down a bit now. Don't speak carelessly like that." "Am I speaking carelessly, or are you just shameless?" I said with a cold laugh. "There is a sentence I have told you many times, sunshine writing. Today, I'll say it to you once more. It's impossible for me and you. After all these years, I let you chase away the women who were interested in me. It's not because I like it. It's because I don't want to be bothered by them." After I finished speaking, I hung up the phone without hesitation. I stared fiercely ahead. My heart couldn't settle down for a long time. I haven't felt this angry in a long time. Over the years, I felt like I was close to becoming a Buddha. I didn't expect it to end because of a word from Jiang Qianxi. And to be this visibly upset. I closed my eyes. Tired, I covered my face with my hand. She said that back then, she was the one pursuing me. What a fool I was chasing after the sun. I can't believe I didn't know until now. If I didn't want it to happen like this, how could she possibly catch up? The car continued to drive forward. The scenery along the road kept retreating. My memories also jumped back chaotically. I was only 16 when I got into university. I had only grown to 1.73 m. With the northern girl Jiang Qianxi, a height of 1.7 meters looks about the same. Although I'm not tall, my IQ has always been high. I attended the best domestic university, a 6-year master's program at a medical school. While Jiang Qianxi, I just barely got into the media college next door. Although I worked hard throughout high school to help Jiang Qianxi. Unfortunately, Jiang Qianxi, this incompetent teammate, was really hard to carry. She was not smart to begin with. It was all about relying on the various points of knowledge I provided. She only maintained her grades through rote memorization. But unexpectedly, during her senior year second semester, she fell into the boring crush of adolescence. Daydreaming about developing feelings with a male classmate. Developed feelings beyond that of classmates. Fortunately, that male classmate didn't pick up on it. After the college entrance exam, I, now in college, feel unhappy just thinking about it. I didn't even want to pay attention to her. But that guy. It seems there is absolutely none. It feels like I have somehow brought this on myself. She runs to my school every day. At first, I thought she felt the same way I did. That she missed me a little too. She can't seem to be without me. When I always asked her with a stern face why she was back, Jiang Qianxi always smiled and said, "Of course, it's because the food at your school is delicious. And it's cheap with generous portions. An 8 yuan steak is that big. Plus, you get a fried egg. And spaghetti. We don't have any of that at our school. The cafeteria at a key university. It really is better than our regular university. I should have studied harder back then. I could have scored a few more points," Jiang Qianxi said with a look of regret. While I disdainfully pulled out my meal card. I only realize now. It's a bit late. But she finally knows she was wrong. That's still worth me buying a steak for her. Gu Qi is just really generous. Jiang Qianxi saw me swiping my meal card today. She was so happy that she kept praising me. The two of them brought the steak to the table. Jiang Qianxi mysteriously leaned in and said, "Moreover, your school is a medical university. If I could find a boyfriend there, Wouldn't that be a win? My heart skipped a beat. Here it comes again. I frowned and asked, what's so good about the students at our school? Most of them will be doctors, busy to death. Doctors are great. Which girl doesn't like doctors? Wearing a white coat looks so handsome, right? Jiang Qianxi noticed my bad mood. She quickly flattered me. Gu Qi will definitely be handsome when he becomes a doctor in the future. I was so angry that I took the steak from her plate and put it on my own plate. After having so many meals with me, you still don't know what I study. I'm majoring in pharmaceutical biology. I won't be able to perform surgeries or treatments in the future. My main focus is on drug development and work related to drug testing. So you won't become a doctor in the future? Jiang Qianxi always thought I would become a doctor in the future. She glanced at me and said, it's a bit of a waste for such beautiful hands not to hold a scalpel. I was suddenly caught off guard by her question. I felt happy inside again. I pressed my lips together and said, I don't know what I'm thinking day by day. Jiang Qianxi quickly smiled flatteringly. She picked the steak back up again. She ate while looking around everywhere. There are really a lot of boys in your school. Unlike our school, which has a bunch of beauties. We should really set up a social event to help each other solve the single problem. I asked with irritation. You go to college to date, right? Of course. If you don't date in college, when will you? I heard once you enter society, the social circle gets smaller. At that point, you won't be able to find a boyfriend. You'd have to rely on blind dates. I have to hurry up. What if, after university, I can't find someone? That's a hassle. I pressed my lips together and said nothing. I cut the steak on the plate into pieces. Jiang Qianxi called me in a mysterious manner. Hey, Gu Shen. Look at that guy next door. Do you think he's from the medical department? Will he become a doctor after graduation? How would I know? I replied irritably. That's true. I'll go ask. Hey, I didn't even get a chance to stop him. Jiang Qianxi had already brought the tray. She sat in front of that handsome guy. She looked at him with a gentle smile. The guy was a bit flustered by the sudden appearance of. The pretty girl looked a bit uneasy. Jiang Qianxi chatted with him for a bit. She smoothly got his phone number. Jiang Qianxi got the phone number and proudly returned to my side with a happy face, saying, hey, being good-looking gives me an advantage. Just casually asking, and I got his number. Jiang Qianxi, you came to our school just for these boring things. I was so angry that I could barely keep my composure. Hey, why are you angry? You can just come to our school next time. There are many beautiful girls at our school. I don't need that. Don't come to our school again in the future. I finished speaking. I picked up my tray and placed it in the recycling area. I walked away without looking back. Jiang Qianxi was left behind. Feeling a bit depressed, I ran my fingers through my hair. I didn't understand why I was angry again. This guy just has a bad temper. It's age-related. What's wrong with her wanting to find a boyfriend? Not helping a fellow townsman. Even holding me back. Several girls from her dormitory. They were all introduced by fellow townsfolk who came to school together. I finally realized. Jiang Qianxi comes to school to see me every week. It's not that she misses me. It's because she wants to get into this top medical school in the country. She's looking to find a boyfriend who will be a future doctor. Even someone as smart as me. I didn't expect Jiang Qianxi's thoughts. How could they be so despicable and shameless? All I can think about is romance. The young me is angry. I started to ignore Jiang Qianxi. I didn't reply to her texts. I answered her calls coldly. I didn't accept her invitations. I thought Jiang Qianxi would understand. She would come over and apologize properly or something. Instead, Jiang Qianxi went to college. She no longer needed to worry about exam rankings. Of course, she didn't need to pray anymore. He, the academic genius. She completely forgot about it. At that time, I was already 16 or 17. I knew in my heart. I had fallen for that girl who shamelessly called me brother. Who insisted on calling me sister every day. The girl who helped her with her studies. I couldn't let this go on any longer. Seeing her so actively looking for a boyfriend. Maybe it wouldn't take a semester. She'd be able to bring her boyfriend to show off. After all, she is quite good looking. I thought for a moment. First, I called Jiang Qianxi. I invited her to my school to have steak. Jiang Qianxi still holds a grudge about my cold attitude that day. She said with a somewhat unpleasant tone, didn't you tell me not to go to your school? That was just in the heat of the moment. How can you take it seriously? I gently coaxed her over the phone. Jiang Qianxi asked unhappily, what did I do to make you angry? Do you just randomly ask for other people's numbers? You don't even know what he's like. Just asking for his phone number. What if he's a bad person? How bad can the students from your school be? You can know a person's face, but not their heart. Humph, I just want a phone number. It will still need to be assessed later. Do you think I'm stupid? I see, I understand now. If you really want to meet someone who will become a doctor in the future, I can introduce someone to you. Really? Jiang Qianxi said in surprise. You really want to introduce me, huh? Really? I will definitely introduce you to a boy who excels in both studies and character. I agreed wholeheartedly. She said she wooed from her classmates. Of course, Jiang Qinshi was happy to hear this. She even shamelessly added a little more. He must also be good looking. I don't want someone ugly. He should also be tall. Got it, I said with frustration. I've been advancing in my studies all the way up. I've always been 2 or 3 years younger than my female classmates. My height and appearance are also on the smaller side. So, basically, no girl has ever shown interest in me. In high school, half the girls in my class liked Zhang Liu. People often slipped love letters to him. Jiang Qinshi had written one too. The content was so childish that I wanted to tear it up on the spot. But because there were too many people slipping him love letters, Zhang Liu threw them all away. He didn't even look at any of them. I looked in the mirror. I looked at my face. I looked very youthful, still resembling a high school student. Moreover, I wasn't tall enough. I estimate that I need at least 2 more years to fall within Jiang Qinshi's range of potential partners. I must delay her for another 2 years. I can't let her find a boyfriend. To this end, I made a detailed plan. I began to cram various idol drama dating manuals, the types of boys that girls like the most, knowledge about the moments that make girls' hearts flutter, and so on. I applied the knowledge I had learned. I first restored my contact with Jiang Qinshi. I still invited her to the school for dinner every week. I often brought her some good food. For various holidays and birthdays, I would also pretend to casually give her some small gifts that girls like. At the same time, I kept a close watch on her. Any boy who showed interest in her was deemed worthless by me. It's not that the school is bad. It's just that he's not tall enough. Or he would say to her, "Wait a moment. I have a senior who's really nice. Yamakubo has been quite busy lately, but he'll help you make an appointment next month." Really? That's great. The boys at your school must be the best. I'm waiting. Jiang Qinshi looked at me with her bright, shining eyes. She looked at me with a face full of trust. Just like that, Jiang Qinshi was captivated by my non-existent upperclassmen and younger classmates for a long time. Of course, during this time of preventing her from finding a boyfriend, I wouldn't confess either. Nor would I show that I liked Jiang Qinshi. Otherwise, there would be a 50% chance of being rejected. I, who seek a 100% success rate, am not in a hurry to submit this love exam. I am preparing carefully. I drink milk every day. I run at night and practice jump rope. Finally, at the end of my freshman year, I felt that it was about time. That summer, I intentionally didn't go back home with Jiang Qinshi, but stayed at school instead. We hadn't seen each other for nearly 3 months. When Jiang Qinshi came back to school to look for me, suddenly, I was astounded by my own transformation. It only took 1 summer vacation. I suddenly became super handsome. My physique is tall and lean. I stand at 1.88 meters. People see my legs as long and straight. She looked so good it made her drool. This is exactly the style she loves the most. What does she need a boyfriend for? She should just go for Gucci, a local academic genius. Good looking. A medical student. Perfect. Isn't this exactly the person I was looking for? Jiang Qinshi certainly doesn't know how much effort I put into this reunion. How much thought I invested. A summer of night runs and workouts. It made my body stronger and fitter. Long hair. I specifically got a haircut that Jiang Qinshi liked the most back then. The same hairstyle as her favorite male celebrity. I even calculated the angle at which to smile. Casual physical contact. All carefully crafted by me, aiming for a direct hit. To instantly make Jiang Qinshi feel my transformation. This tactic really worked. I could clearly feel Jiang Qinshi's response. I've become enthusiastic about myself again. Just like when she used to ask me to help her with her homework as a child. However, it's even more enthusiastic than back then. When I taught her, she was verbally enthusiastic. Now she is verbally enthusiastic. With passionate eyes. Even her hands are enthusiastic. She always makes little gestures. She intentionally touches my hand. And secretly tugs at my clothes. She looks for chances to lean against me. While taking the subway, she even finds opportunities to lean on me. Hee hee, this little rogue. I secretly laughed under the covers while going to sleep at night. But, based on the film and TV characters Jiang Qinshi likes, I've analyzed that she prefers shy, understated boys. So, I often pull back in her advances, waiting for her to cool off, then I tease her a bit. This way, I keep Jiang Qinshi just at a distance, watching her go crazy for me, losing her mind over me, bumping my head against the wall for myself. Time passed like this. I felt it was time for Jiang Qinshi to confess to me, but she still didn't make a move. Every day she looked at me expectantly, making various little gestures. The dragon dared not take a step further. In the end, I decided to help her one more time. So, on my birthday, I treated my roommates to dinner. As the birthday person, I naturally got drunk. My roommates wisely slipped away, leaving me with Jiang Qinshi. I thought, being such a big guy, I weighed at least 150 pounds. Jiang Qinshi definitely couldn't support me, so when I booked the restaurant, I specifically chose a place that was only 20 meters from the hotel. Jiang Qinshi usually was very impatient, often taking advantage of her own situation. She definitely wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. In the end, I was wrong. Absolutely wrong. I don't even know about Jiang Qinshi's side. What did the Northeast Tiger girl grow up eating? Suddenly, I was lifted up. They dragged and pulled me into the taxi. I didn't know the whole way. I couldn't tell how many times I bumped into walls and the car. I pretended to be drunk and was too embarrassed to shout out. I could only grit my teeth and endure it. When we reached the dorm building, she started dragging and pulling me again. All the way, she carried me back to the dorm. When my roommates opened the door, it was almost hard to speak plainly. Jiang Qinshi also found it hard to believe. Didn't you all have things to do? Why did you all come back? My roommates answered in a bit of a daze. We came back to get something. Right, to get something. Oh dear. If I'd known it was on the way, I would have let you bring him back. It's killing me. Jiang Qinshi huffed and puffed as she moved me toward. I placed it on the bed closest to the dormitory door. Then she waved her sleeves, leaving without taking a single cloud with her. I sat up silently from the bed, with a frustrated look on my face. My roommates were holding back their laughter one by one. They could see through it but chose not to say anything. I finally understood. Jiang Qinshi is really a coward. She talks all day about wanting to date, but secretly, she's making constant little moves. But when it actually comes to it, she becomes afraid again. I held my head, which hurt from hitting it, and thought about it all night. Then the plan started to take action. I accidentally let Jiang Qinshi see a few love letters in my backpack. I deliberately answered calls from admirers in front of her, and even pretended to agree to go out with a girl on Christmas. The next day, when Jiang Qinshi asked with dark circles under her eyes how my meeting with that girl went, I casually told her that I didn't go. I went to the library to study instead. Seeing Jiang Qinshi finally relax, I couldn't help but chuckle. I refuse to believe that this will just add fuel to the fire. Jiang Qinshi and her feelings are still unaffected. Sure enough, on a Valentine's Day night, Jiang Qinshi nervously asked me out. On the day I went out, I specifically wore something for Jiang Qinshi. She particularly likes seeing me in a white shirt. Every time I wear this white shirt, Jiang Qinshi can't help but find a chance to touch my arm. She holds my hand. I even stopped by the hair salon. I got a fresh and clean haircut. Then I walked steadily to the meeting place. As I expected, Jiang Qinshi confessed. Watching her nervous demeanor, she struggled to get the words out. I was overjoyed inside. I thought to tease her a bit. I intentionally rejected her. She said she had no plans to date. In fact, I was going crazy wanting to date her. Every day I tried different ways to entice her. But seeing Jiang Qinshi's disappointed gaze and her feigned strength, I immediately felt reluctant again. Afraid that if I refused this time, what if she doesn't confess next time? I quickly grabbed hold of her. Alright then. If it's Sister Cece, I could think about it. Seeing Jiang Qinshi's eyes light up, I couldn't help but smile too. After planning for so long, I finally waited for this day. I was content. I openly took Jiang Qinshi's hand. In the days that followed, every time I heard Jiang Qinshi mention her pursuit, how hard and dedicated it was for me, I couldn't help but chuckle. Silly. It was me who made you pursue me. If I had never been moved, even if you were a fairy descending to earth, it wouldn't matter. After that day, I seemed to suddenly disappear from Jiang Qinshi's life. No longer being picked up and dropped off every day. No longer coming over to cook 3 meals a day. Just like that brief conversation that night. It really seemed to cut off our fate. I returned to my own world. She was trying hard to integrate into this new world. Until one day after work, her department supervisor, Zhou Nanshui, walked over to Jiang Qinshi's desk. He asked her to come into the office with him. Zhou Nanshui had his hands in his pockets, narrowing his eyes in thought. He was finally able to do something he had always wanted to do as a child. He didn't care about how much the male lead was suffering. He just couldn't allow any misunderstandings between them. Whether it was meddling or not. Whether it disregarded Mr. Gu's wishes or not. Anyway, he just had to say it. He had to clear up this misunderstanding. He didn't want them to waste another second. Let me get married right there. Oh, no wait. It's a remarriage. Jiang Qinshi listened to Zhou Nanshui's words. She widened her eyes in surprise. Then she turned and rushed out of the office. Ran to the company building downstairs. But she couldn't find my car. She took out her phone and called me. With the busy tone on the line, she anxiously ran along the street, looking around, trying to find my whereabouts. After a long while, I answered the phone. A calm, low voice came from the phone. Jiang Qinshi stopped running and let out a heavy breath. She straightened her body, Gripping the phone tightly, she shouted loudly, Gucci. I'll give you 10 minutes. Hurry and show up in front of me. Otherwise, never come to see me again. The pitch-black night sky was lit up by countless lights. A black sedan was parked beside the busy roadway. A middle-aged man sat in the driver's seat, lost in thought. He seemed to be thinking about something. A faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The smile carried a hint of nostalgia, a touch of bitterness. The phone in his car kept lighting up and going dark. Lighting up and then darkening again. He seemed to be conflicted and hesitant. In the end, he picked up the phone. The person on the other end of the line asked sadly, Gucci, are you really not coming to find me? I instantly felt tears welling up, cleared my throat and whispered, Went. How could I not come to find you? I've been searching for you for 23 years. When I finally found out where you were, how could I not look for you? If I had wings, I wish I could fly to your side. I hung up the phone. I told the driver to turn around. The car drove into the bustling night. After a few turns, I finally saw Jiang Qinshi standing by the roadside. The headlights illuminated Jiang Qinshi. She squinted slightly. She walked towards the light. Meanwhile, I stood by the car, nervously clasping my hands. I gazed deeply at her, looking at her, just like in my memories. She was walking gracefully towards me. Jiang Qinshi came to a stop in front of me. She raised her head. She looked at me and asked, Do you really have a wife or not?